I was too lazy to make my own dry horse. So now I had to go buy it at the South African shop yesterday. But
What's it?
because of the cost of the bloody dry horse, I can't pay my mortgage this month.
How close is the
But I
close?
thought, screw it, we're gonna.
How close is the South African shop to where you are?
Um, this is a South African restaurant about 45 minutes away, but we are remote up in the mountains. There's no South Africans up here.
So you need to
So,
drive to this restaurant to buy your drivers.
no. I need to send my wife to drive to that restaurant to get drivers. I was watching the rugby. But the place apparently was packed. There was like 50, 60 South Africans at this place watching rugby. But we have, because of necessity, and there's no other South Africans around us, we had to teach the American friends rugby.
Oh yeah.
So our closest friends last year, the first rugby game I ever watched was France versus South Africa in the World Cup. I mean, talk about a bang of an introduction to rugby.
Yeah.
It was, if you remember the game, it was back and forth, back and forth. It was so exciting. It was incredible. So we had the Americans jumping up and down. I mean, the wife ordered Cheslin Colby's number 11 rugby shirt for her birthday. She's like, "Oh man, that little pocket rocket, I want his shirt." And so we watched at their house. All of the friends got together at one house, American friend, for the next game, the England game for the semi-final. It was such a dreary, boring game, and they were like, "Is this the same sport?" They were running around like a headless chicken last week. Now it's all kicking and catching and rain and depression.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, they loved it. They fell in love with the sport. We all watched the rugby final at our house
It's
the
like when
next
you had
weekend.
all those seats and stuff set up on the outside.
Yeah, we couldn't fit everybody in our house, and it was fall or autumn uh,
Mm.
up here in the mountains of North Carolina, which is absolutely beautiful. I'll send you some pictures, but it was just beautiful. So we watched the final here in the garden, and yesterday obviously was the kind of the comeback.
Mm.
Uh, they missed last week, so this was kind of the comeback match. We had all the friends over here again, the Americans, and they just absolutely loved it. And I thought it was a more tense game. I don't know, somehow more stressful than last week.
Well, there was a bit of controversy in last week's game. Even a few things that I mean, my eyebrows was raised. So this game, in my opinion, was the important one to really determine who is the better team. And well, the result speaks for itself. Although I tried to bring up the controversy from last weekend's game, and I just seem to be making enemies. So I'm not going to talk about it. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, there's people that try and justify last week that Bongio Manambi scored a try. I mean, it's absolute bollocks. He knocked it on. If I was an All Black supporter, I'd be pissed off. But if that try was awarded, I don't understand the TMO system
Mm.
in that sense, because the TMO got involved in other issues where maybe he wasn't needed or warranted. I think
I think
World
he was
Rugby really needs to.
I
They
think it
need to
was in
clean up the TMO system.
I think he was in a toilet break or something because normally they take at least 2 minutes to investigate. They so rushed past that whole try, and then the flyer was doing the kick, and he was under pressure to do the kick in time, and he completely missed anyway. And I was like, what just happened? It went
Yeah.
it went past so quickly. But now I followed the international rugby Facebook group, and the guys were lashing out there. They're like saying stuff like the fact that this try was rewarded is is shocking and all kinds of stuff. But the thing is, the cameraman broke scene right as the ball was sort of going down. So you can't for 100% say, okay, maybe he still had his hand on it when it reached the line and it was momentum that carried him forward, or did he actually knock it on and there just isn't enough evidence to support it. So I don't know. But the few people I tried to talk to about it's like, no, it was a try. You're going to be crucified.
Yeah, I mean, people people get too passionate, I guess. At the moment, rugby passion in the Republic is an all-time high. I've never seen the anthems
Yeah,
sung in that
that's
way.
passionate. Sorry.
Um,
I've got a couple of these. So yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing.
but I mean, I've never seen people so passionate about rugby, and I think that really just stems from winning, right? When a team is winning, beating the All Blacks on a regular basis, beating Australia, which was kind of our banana peel over the last few seasons, even when we had a good team, we somehow find a way to lose to Australia. Now the Springboks are playing with a lot more consistency, and I think it's during a phase where Rassie is experimenting quite a lot. We're not seeing the same team every week. We are seeing young guys getting blooded, like Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu, getting game time at in a pivotal position or fly off.
Very talented,
There's
very talented.
Ruan Norkia doing the scrum, the line out calls. I mean, and that was a particularly weak part of our game. I was just focusing on what happened yesterday. It was. I thought we played particularly badly in initially. We had a couple of great scrums, but then our lineout fell apart. It stole all of our momentum. We are a set piece based team normally, and I think we completely overcomplicated the lineouts. We had Ruan Urkia doing the calls. He's only had like 4 or 5 tests, and we were missing our jumpers. I think we lost 4 out of the first 5 lineouts. I mean, that steals all of your momentum. We win a scrum penalty, kick it downfield, get field position, and then we chuck the ball right into New Zealand's hands, or they steal it, or they compete. I think Tupu Vai, he's going to be a great player. New Zealand lost some key locks, legendary, generational talent in Retallick, as their enforcer, and Whitelock as their kind of their Victor Matfield line jumper. So I think the Tupu Vai competed really well with Barrett. The lineouts were a mess initially, and then New Zealand completely dominated us at the breakdown, which I've never seen happen to this extent. New Zealand's always competitive on the ground, but what I took from this is we have Tony Brown as the new New Zealand coach, and he's trying to do this expansive game plan. And South Africa has not really done that for a long time. Not since Alistair Coetzee was our coach did we try and play this expansive rugby. And that was a disaster under Alistair Coetzee. We just lost games badly because we weren't used to this system, right? So we're playing this expansive game now, trying to push like Peter Steph du Toit hanging around at the wing, and Siakalisi hanging out on the wing.
Oh yeah, no, because about that, there was several times when the ruck would break out, and there was just no support. There was no, and I was like, where was the locks? Where was the flankers to assist and pick up the ball and move it backwards? I'm like, gosh, well, Jasper Wiese, his first game back since he got a red card when was this? And
This was like 2 months, 3 months ago. It's been a while.
he was magnificent. Okay, look, he got a yellow card not too long into the game, but you immediately knew about his presence, that he was there. And he was there to pick up the ball when it came out. He was there to give support, doing the tackles, moving the ball forward. I think it was incredible. So between him, Pieter-Steph du Toit, wow, it's just there was a lot of action there in the rucks. But like you said, a lot of people that were supposed to be there, we just didn't see there. And you just talked
Well, and
about
it's because we used to playing with the pods sitting behind the contact player. So you immediately have two guys at least at every ruck immediately taking that New Zealander away from the contact uh, position. But when you play expansively, your support, by definition, when you go wide, they're not there,
yeah,
right? And I think it could have been even worse. I mean, if they could have stolen more ball if it wasn't for like Damien De'Alende, who got man of the match, and rightly so. I mean,
yeah,
the guy makes more meters after contact than anybody else in world rugby. He is just a machine. He gets tackled and he will still go 5, 6 plus meters with these people on his back.
yeah.
That gives time for the support to get there. But we got turned over more in that game than I've ever seen. I thought that new kid from the Chiefs, Wallace Satiti, I thought he had an excellent game. I was really impressed with Blackadder last weekend, but he's injured. But Satiti was a machine. I mean, I thought he had a better game than Ardie Sevilla. I thought Sevilla was a bit off. Uh, and Satiti was just a machine on the breakdown. And I thought Cody Taylor had his best game in years. That guy, I mean, that's where Jasper Vista got his yellow card. He went and tackled the support player when Cody Taylor made that massive break.
Total by
I
accident.
thought Vista knew exactly what he was doing, but he saved a try. And you can swap a yellow card for a try any day, right?
Yeah.
The All Blacks didn't score a try all game, which is very rare that we outscore them uh, in rugby terms. I can't remember when we kept the All Blacks tryless. Even in the World Cup final, they scored.
Well, they were normally pretty good at getting all their points in the last 20 minutes of the game, which I thought, okay, look, they're going to make a run for it today. And then when they got that final line out, I was like, oh my goodness, South Africa they just couldn't manage the lineouts today. What's going to happen? And then that's the one line out they stole the ball. The
Yeah.
most important line out of them all. But look, they were still like sort in the middle of the field. The chances of them really making a good play in literally 0 seconds, I guess it's unlikely. But you never know the All Blacks. They are so unpredictable. But like you said, their whole training now changed, so they're playing a different game. If it's working for the better for them, I'm not sure because they almost lost against Argentina the other day.
Well, they did lose against Argentina, 38-30.
Ah,
And I mean, talking about Argentina, they clubbed the Wallabies 67-27 last night. A game I only half watched because I was on the Brunnervein after our victory, so I couldn't really focus on that game much. I was celebrating because I watched rugby all my life, and uh, what happened yesterday hasn't happened since 1949, that we beat the All Blacks 4 times in a row.
yeah.
And I don't think people realize what an important event this is. It's like every time we play the All Blacks, even if we're ahead 9-3 at halftime, you always have this conditioned suspicion from years of watching that they're going to come back in the last 20 minutes. That was the All Blacks that we always knew, very strong, and they've broken my heart so many times scoring a try, whether it's Ma'anonu or Kieran Reid or Dan Carter slotting a penalty. They always found a way to win against us in the last few minutes. New Zealand's lost that edge. Or let's say South Africa has gained a self-belief in the last 6, 7 years, where that self-belief gets us over the line. I mean, people talk about our much vaunted bomb squad, but last week they were not that great when they came on.
They weren't even fully deployed today. I was
Yeah,
expecting that.
yeah. I mean, we didn't get the full bomb squad today, but last week when they came on, it wasn't great. Initially, we lost a few lineouts. There was some errors. Yeah, Kwagga made an impact last week. Incredible player off the bench.
Absolutely.
And again, for this match, Malcolm Marx made a tremendous contribution coming off the bench. But last week they weren't the proper, nuke squad, bomb squad. But we found this belief that we are world champions for a reason. We've won those close games in the quarter, semis, and final, all very, very close fought games. We won that on belief more than skill. We wanted it more, right? For our country, for our people, because now everybody's behind the box. And that does have an impact on the field. Now,
Okay. Well, about now, we did criticize Rassie's game a bit, but don't you think he's a bit of a genius as well? Because he's trying a formula to see what works best and to, in my opinion, put a finished product out there. You understand? Something that's going to just work really well.
now you can't say a bad word against Rassie.
Yeah.
Not at the moment, right?
No. Well, the
You
thing
can't
is,
even criticize the guy.
look, I'm not the kind of guy that criticizes the ref or the coaches or anything, because I probably look, I'm not a ref or coach. I can't do it any better. So who am I to speak? I mean, my knowledge about rugby is limited, but I do love the Springboks and I do love watching them play. And I've had the privilege of speaking to a couple of them. So I really want to get to understand it better. And I think that's the purpose of this discussion as well, because you obviously know what you're talking about. So, yeah, enlighten me.
Well, I mean, I was a coach and I was a referee. I still trained under Andre Watson when he was at the Falker. My first referee training many years ago was under Andre Watson. We still know the family quite well. It's what I was saying earlier is I wasn't ready to criticize Rassie. It's just that nobody would want to in South Africa at the moment. But I think when you want to talk about some strange decisions that he's made, we always have to think that he's got a long-term plan, right?
Yeah.
The next two World Cups, for people watching this, is going to be in the two countries that you and I live in, Australia.
Yeah.
Next World Cup, and then the one after that's going to be in the US. I can't wait. But Rassie's got Australia in mind, right? So he's blooding new players against the All Blacks 3 years out. He is looking at a more expansive game when you consider that World Rugby is moving in a direction where they are seemingly trying to take some of the emphasis from the scrums away to make it, in their mind, a greater product for new viewers, right? Less scrums, speeding the game up. I mean, the poor blokes playing it are running themselves to death now. No breaks, no, let's tie my shoelaces, that kind of nonsense. It's all speeding up. And the field's fast playing rugby normally in Australia. So it all points to this kind of new style that Rassie is working towards. And he's willing to risk doing all of this experimentation 3 years out with the Rugby Championships and the Freedom Cup on the line, because he's putting these new guys under pressure. right? This was only, I think, the second time that Grant Williams started a game for the Boks. The first time lasted like 2 minutes, and he got clobbered by a flying hip from an Argentinian, and he was off the field. So this is the second time, I think, that he's worn a number 9 jersey on his back. I mean, these kids are fresh. They're young players that he's blooding. Ruan Urquia played his 4th test. He had Ampalele Fassi there last week. I mean, he's blooding new young players. And that's the genius of Rassie, is that he's bringing on these new players into a setup that's a winning culture, and he's allowing them to be themselves and to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the genius. I think more than people say Rassie is a rugby genius. I mean, not all of the stuff that he brings in is innovative. It's based on the fact that we have somebody like Kwagga Smith who can cover virtually any position, and Cheslin Colby that can cover the rest. and then you can do a 7-1 split, right?
Yeah.
But I think his genius is more in how he manages people. It's like having a really incredible psychologist running the show. I think that's what makes him incredible. The way, if you watch the documentary Chasing the Sun, how he deals with the players, that's incredible. That's just insane how he deals with people.
Yeah. Well, I would love to see what happens next. What is the next game? Is it Argentina?
Well, I'm so excited after Argentina's performance yesterday, right?
Yeah,
That I thought I might just fly down and go watch the game. It's in a small town that I've never heard of. The game. I don't even know if they have a major airport, and I don't know how I'm going to get there from the mountains of North Carolina. It's probably going to be a few flights.
Yeah.
But I want to go watch it because if you watch the game yesterday, I had to rewatch it this morning when I woke up, just the highlights. Australia started with a bang. Some really good plays off the base. They attacked really well with Ben Donaldson, their fly off. Down the right wing a couple of times. Some of their new flankers, stepped up. And they got off to quite a lead. Like 2-3 tries, I think they scored initially in a few kicks. So Argentina were under the pump at home. And I don't know what happened. I'm probably like 35, 36 minutes into the game. It's like just a switch flipped, and Argentina and their new fly half just clicked, and they absolutely destroyed Australia. I mean, they ran in 9 tries.
Wow.
Australia just stopped tackling at some point. It's like that game where we used to play as kids, Open the Gates. When the first one comes through and everybody follows. It was chaos. I mean, they absolutely
haven't watched the
destroyed
game.
Argentina.
Now I'll go watch the highlights after our chat. I did. Now I want to go see it.
Yeah, it was incredible to see the Pumas in full flight. So now they've set 2 records this year, as well as South Africa has played, and we've won all 4 of our games. Argentina set 2 incredible records this year. They beat the All Blacks in New Zealand and put the highest amount of points up against them that anybody's ever done in New Zealand. 38 points against New Zealand in New Zealand is a record. And now they have beaten Australia by the biggest record score that anybody's done. So as well as we played against Australia, we didn't put 67 points past them.
No, we did not.
We didn't put half that many points past them. We won by like 33 or something in the first game. and about the same in the second. It's incredible what Argentina have done. And they lost the previous game to Australia. I mean, it makes no bloody sense. They beat the All Blacks at home,
Hmm.
and then they go and absolutely just fall asleep the next game.
What
So
was
I'm
what was the
afraid,
score for that second game?
oh my God, it was like 50-10 or 57. And it was insane. New Zealand absolutely clapped them.
So
And New Zealand have the firepower to beat any team on the day. But what I've seen now, in this last game, New Zealand kind of moving away from Australia and Argentina. What I saw from New Zealand was it wasn't the new players making the stupid mistakes that cost them the game. That line out, Artie Sevilla and Bowden Barrett messed up. It's these old heads, and I think New Zealand rugby is going to struggle for a while until they allow their overseas players to be picked for the national team. I think this stubborn stupidity is really just, like we used to say, cut your nose to spite your face, South Africa really struggled to get a competitive team out there because we had too many players based overseas. The Rand's weak. You and I both left for the same reason. You make more money overseas.
oh, my wife dragged.
Yeah, but the All Blacks, they have a lot of great players playing in Japan, in Europe. They can't pick them. And it's this arrogance that you're only good enough, or we'll only kind of force the players to stay in New Zealand. Then if we pick overseas-based players, everyone's going to leave.
Yeah.
And then our domestic competition will fall flat. But what we've seen in South Africa is we have so many foreign-based players. Like most of the bloody Springboks play somewhere else, right? They could do that for a few seasons, realize the biltong is cock in Japan, and we'll go home. The French are horrible, so let's go back. And what it's done is when we play in the URC and the Currie Cup, it's built so much depth. Instead of making our rugby weaker, it's made our rugby stronger, because now a guy like Ron or Kia, who's come in at lock, we've got a lock crisis with injuries. Lewitt's out, and he's been out for a while. And we're talking about our number 6 choice, probably. Yeah. And he's incredible. He had some incredible games already, Ron Arkia, because we have that depth. And I think that's what New Zealand is really, they got to reconsider this absolutely daft kind of strategy of saying, now, as soon as you leave New Zealand, you can't be picked, because I think they do have a problem at fly half. Damien McKenzie isn't the answer. Richie Mo'unga, best fly off for the last few years in the world, is playing overseas. They won't pick him. It just doesn't make sense. So they're going to have to look long and hard at themselves. They've got a new coach. The Razor was kind of the incumbent for many years, and he was now seen as the Messiah. Finally, we have the coach we wanted. Foster is out. Everybody hated him. Well, now Razor has got a worse record than Foster.
At least
so. But so yeah, New Zealand have some issues. I'm really happy with what's happened in the Rugby Championship so far, but I'm gonna venture a guess and think we might lose one against Argentina.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Remember, we don't want to make the Oorsee audience upset. We love the Boks. Please forgive Walter. He is just a man of facts. Me, I'm a bit more optimistic. Let's hope for the best.
So
While we're
you
on that
think the
topic,
facts are negative?
let's just confirm the date. So it's the 22nd of September is the first game. The 29th of September is the second game. Now, I remember because we on that
No,
weekend, we've got the McKitty.
no. See, now you already got it wrong. It's
Why?
the 21st.
Give me a break. Remember, I'm in Australia. So I'm giving you the
No, I
Australian.
know. You're like on the other side of the world. They're playing it in Argentina. Yes, for me, because then it's a proper normal time. I don't have to get up at stupid o'clock.
Oh, well, I live in the future. Greetings, person from the past. Your ways are quaint. It's,
That suits me. I have to get my one of my kids to come switch the computer on for me. Uh,
I wanted
and
to
you saw
say,
what I struggle with the microphone when we
I
started.
wanted to say when you said players, South African players, just go over for short periods. When I spoke to Kitsoff in our interview, he says he's going to Ireland for 3 years. I'm like, oh wow, okay. And then he messaged me a week ago. He's like, oh, I'm back.
Yeah,
He only, he
the
only, he only
weather
went
is
for a year.
terrible. The Irish suck. Guinness is horrible, and the biltong is too expensive.
He probably thought, well, look, I'm a redhead. Ari's mostly redheads. Maybe I'll fit in. No, he's absolutely a boor. So he's back in South Africa. Um, yeah, I'm trying really hard to nail an interview with Rassie, but I've already decided if I get one, you better be awake to take it with me because your knowledge regarding the game is very, very good.
Well, it's been an obsession of mine. I mean, the last time the Boks beat the All Blacks in this fashion, in this convincingly, where you would put them as favourites at the start of a game, was way back in probably in my time. The only thing I've experienced like that was the Cavaliers tour in the 80s when they sent over a kind of illegal team, and we had legends like Donnie Gerber and Naas Botha, Duplessis brothers. We had an incredible team back then, and we convincingly beat the All Blacks, but it was an kind of unofficial tour. So this is the best we've done in my lifetime. 50 years watching rugby. It's the best we've done against the All Blacks.
Hmm.
It's a combination of us having generational talents, people that we maybe don't even appreciate enough. Eamon Expat and Pieter-Steph du Toit, Frans Malherbe, Jason Colby. These are players that will be talked about in South Africa for decades.
Absolutely.
Right.
I do feel that they're starting to, especially with Etzebeth and Colby, they really targeting them. As moment they get the ball, there's like 4 or 5 guys on them. So they're really trying very hard to make sure they don't win ground. But wow, Colby, goodness, he is just magnificent. Was so close.
He had an incredible game yesterday. But it's yet another example of this expansive game trying to offload. We saw last week Ben Jason Dixon cop a lot of flack for trying to offload from difficult positions, trying these 50-50 passes. But I don't think I don't blame the players. That's a coach thing. I believe a Tony Brown influence, trying to speed up the game, trying to get the ball wider, away from the contact area. And like Cheslin made a fantastic break, hot stepping in the game, and then try to offload in traffic. Couple of hands got in the way. Pieter-Steph du Toit knocked on, but there was some All Black hands in there. I think it was severe. Got in the way where typically in the past we would then, you consolidate there, have a ruck, and then use that position to just bash our way over the try line, not these flashy pop-ups off the floor like Cheslin tried. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positives, but we are going to have to be patient that the All Blacks, we beat them while we're experimenting, but it could also mean like we could lose to Argentina in 2
Don't go
weeks.
experiment against Argentina. Is that the lesson of the interview?
No, I believe we should stick to our guns and go for it. Pick a, Rassie Khan Boss. Go and pick the most experimental, bloody, crazy unicorn bullshit you can against Argentina, because we need to blood these players in high pressure situations. It helps nothing if you only play people against Portugal.
But
You got to put them with the Rugby Championship on the line in Argentina, playing away from home, and say, "Go on,
but
wys my wat jy het." Go on and show me
but
what you've got.
the average South African that is so fixated on the game and the winning and the beer, they're gonna be wanting a win. They're not gonna be seeing the deeper picture. So if, as a result of this experiment, South Africa do get challenged a bit by Argentina, they are going to judge him. You know how they get. They'll probably forgive him one game, maybe even two. But the moment you hit a free, so yes, I'm hoping whatever he pulls out of his hat, it's going to be a good one. Because look,
No.
even when he picks the young players, he picks them for a reason, because they're good, because they've proven themselves already.
Yes, but I mean, what we've seen in recent times is, it's something that's always been talked about. Experience in rugby, in any sport, does go a long way. But experience only can only take you so far, right? You got to blood some young players. What we've what we've seen quite a bit in the past, and I think this is what Rassie is trying to avoid, is you'll have New Zealand won the World Cup twice, same as us, back to back. But then had a massive drop off with Richie McCaw and Dan Carter, a few other players retiring, Ma'anonu, Conrad Smith. That was like a massive exodus of all these great players. Right? So they had a huge cliff and a drop off. So that's what Rassie is trying to avoid, is bringing in these players so we don't have a drop off. Because Etzebeth and Peter Steph Tutoy might just about make the next World Cup, and Siya Kolisi. But after that, we'll see all of them retire. If you don't have the next generation already blooded and with 30, 40 test caps in there, you're going to have a massive cliff. So that's what he's doing. We might not see players like Eben again for many generations in his position.
Yeah, true.
So I can only tell the fans, if you want to see us win every game and you just care about the, week to week and drinking your beer and having fun and feeling like a winner, well, unlucky. Rassie doesn't think like that. He's thinking 2028 probably. He's thinking a year beyond the next World Cup, to leave a team in a great position for his predecessor. So, the next incumbent. So, that's how he thinks. So, yeah, I have this, sneaky suspicion the Audis can put, the one over on us because Rassie's experimenting. But then we'll clap them the next game and we'll win the Rugby Championships and we get the trophy. So I don't really care. I just want to see a plan in place. We have some players that have to come back from long-term injury, like Lewitt, like Damien Willems, great players that's going to be, that's generational talent. So we still have some improvement to do. We still have to learn and embed this new game plan that Tony Brown has put in place. But I'm very positive from what I've seen so far. It's incredible what Rassie's achieved. So very positive.
Well, and on that note, I reckon until the next one. I really enjoyed this chat, Walter. Um, you're well informed, and I think this sort of debate, if you want to call it, and explanation for the deeper meaning of a lot of these the games and the plays within the games that we see during watching a test match like today or yesterday. We need the conversations like this to enlighten other people a bit as well. And look, people don't have to agree. That's what these conversations are about. If you don't agree, leave it in the comments. If you agree, leave it in the comments. And if you want to just join the Oorsee rugby chat for fun, we've got a fantastic rugby group on the Oorsee app, and it's busy. They just love. And it was created by the Braai Army. If you know the Braai Army, Race Vleis, he actually made the group on the Oorsee app. Join it and join in the fun. Walter, thank you so much for your time. Any outgoing thoughts you want to leave with the Oorsee audience? Just for those that hate.
Yeah, these dry balls. This dry balls is delicious.
There you go. There you have it.